What would you do if your home, the one place where you feel safest, suddenly became a battleground for your own relationship? What happens when a stranger crosses the line not with a shout, but with a whisper, and you have to decide whether to fight or to trust? The scene is domestic perfection. A sun-drenched kitchen, the rhythmic thud of a knife against a wooden board, and the rich, savory scent of a slow-cooked stew simmering on the stove. Jack, the CEO who commands empires, is in his element, apron-tied, focusing on the simple, honest work of creating a meal. It is a moment of fragile, hard-won peace, but the air shifts the moment a shadow falls across the threshold. The homeless girl he took in a gesture of kindness, a symbol of his own growing compassion, is no longer a guest. She is moving closer. Her movements are deliberate, predatory in their softness. As she reaches for a spice jar, her hand brushes against Jack's, lingering a second too long. She leans in, the scent of her perfume clashing with the homey smell of herbs, and murmurs a compliment about his hands, her voice dropping to a register meant only for him. Why is she standing so close? And why does Jack, a man known for his razor-sharp instincts in business, hesitate to pull away? The silence in the kitchen is shattered by the soft, rhythmic clip-clop of footsteps at the back door. Tu Tien stands there, clutching a bundle of fresh greens, her knuckles white. She freezes. Before her, the domestic fantasy has curdled into something ugly. The girl is leaning into Jack's space, her head resting near his shoulder, her posture an unmistakable claim. The knife in Jack's hand freezes mid-air. He is caught in a trap of his own politeness, paralyzed by the sheer shock of the intrusion. The air in the kitchen turns glacial. The hum of the refrigerator feels like a roar. This is the moment where the foundation of their life, built on trust and shared struggle, faces its first real test. Will Tu Tien scream? Will she lash out? Or will she reveal a strength that Jack never knew he needed to see? Tu Tien does none of the things a lesser woman might. She does not raise her voice. She does not throw the greens in a fit of rage. She moves with the deliberate, flowing grace of a storm that has already decided where it will land. She steps forward, her boots clicking sharply on the tile. The distance between her and the girl closes. She sets the greens down, a soft, dry sound that seems to echo like a gunshot in the courtroom. Jack catches her eye, his face a complex map of confusion and silent apology. He tries to shift, to step back, but he is boxed in by the counter. Tu Tien reaches them, her gaze steady, her smile devoid of warmth but perfectly controlled. She places a hand on the girl's shoulder, not a touch of affection, but a firm, possessive barrier. "Hello there," Tu Tien says, her voice like glass, clear, sharp, and cutting. "Thank you for trying to help Jack. I'm sure he appreciates the effort." The girl flinches, her predatory confidence evaporating under Tu Tien's unwavering stare. "But you see," Tu Tien continues, her tone smooth as silk, "this kitchen is quite small for 3 people. It's a bit suffocating, isn't it? Why don't you head out to the yard? Mother Lodi is there, and I'm sure she'd love the company. We'll call you when the meal is ready." The girl's mouth opens, a protest hovering on her tongue, but she finds no ground to stand on. Tu Tien's presence is a wall, an immovable object that makes the girl's flirtations look small, juvenile, and frankly, pathetic. Tu Tien reaches out, and gently, but with crushing firmness, takes the spice jar from the girl's hand. It is an act of total reclamation. She is not asking, she is escorting. The girl looks at Jack, searching for an ally, but he is already looking at his wife, his eyes filled with a sudden, dawning respect. The girl turns and drifts toward the door, her shoulders slumped, her presence reduced to nothing more than a passing nuisance. As the back door clicks shut, the tension in the room doesn't vanish. It settles into a new, heavier reality. Jack immediately drops the vegetable he was holding, his movements fast and jittery. He moves away from the counter, putting distance between the spot where the girl had stood and himself. He begins to wipe the counter, his hands moving with an almost frantic need to clean away the memory of the encounter. He doesn't offer a hollow excuse. He doesn't hide behind a corporate justification. He simply cleans, his head bowed, waiting for the verdict. Tu Tien watches him. The silence is no longer cold, it is expectant. She doesn't need an apology to know he understands. She has shown him that while he may be a king in the boardroom, in this home, in this life they are building, the boundaries are drawn by her hand. She walks over to the stove, checks the stew, and moves with the effortless rhythm of a woman who knows her place in this house is absolute. "Next time you need help in here, tell me," she says, her voice dropping to a low, intimate frequency. She doesn't look at him, but her tone is final. "Don't let just anyone wander into our kitchen. This space, it's only for family." Jack stops wiping. He looks up, and for the first time that day, his shoulders drop. The tension that had held him like a vice leaves his frame. He nods a small, sharp motion that confirms he heard every word, and more importantly, every unspoken truth behind them. The kitchen returns to its natural state. The smell of the herbs, the bubbling of the pot, the quiet intimacy of two people navigating the complexities of their own world. But beneath the surface, everything has changed. The threat of the girl has been neutralized, but the incident has served as a mirror. It has shown Jack the value of what he might have lost through his own careless empathy. And it has shown Tu Tien the necessity of maintaining the walls around their sanctuary. They are back to cooking, but they are no longer just partners in a daily routine. They are partners in a defense. The camera lingers on them not as a couple, but as an unit. Jack handles the knife, his focus renewed, his movements stripped of any hesitation. Tu Tien works beside him, her hands brushing his as she reaches for a bowl. The contact is electric, a silent communication of forgiveness, acknowledgement, and reaffirmation. They are home, and for the first time, they understand that being home means constant vigilance. This is the Jack Tu Tien story world, a world where the most dangerous threats aren't the ones that come from the outside with swords and money, but the ones that come from the inside with smiles and whispers. Every interaction is a test of loyalty. Every guest is a potential fracture, and every evening meal is a ritual of protection. As they sit down to eat, the house feels different. The windows seem locked tighter, the air seems stiller. They have learned that peace is not a gift. It is a perimeter that must be guarded with every breath they take. The story moves forward now with a tighter pace. The girl is gone, but the lesson lingers. In the days that follow, Jack becomes more observant, more protective of the space he shares with Tu Tien. He stops being the approachable CEO of the household and starts being the sentinel of their love. He sees the girl in the yard, laughing with Mother Lori, but he no longer sees a person in need of charity. He sees a threat that was successfully deterred. He doesn't interact. He doesn't indulge. He focuses entirely on his work and his wife. Tu Tien, meanwhile, finds a new confidence. She no longer doubts her place in the hierarchy of their lives. She knows that Jack's success, his wealth, and his status mean nothing if he cannot protect the private sanctity of their kitchen. She becomes the curator of their home, ensuring that the boundaries are clear, the rules are set, and the sanctity of their partnership is never again compromised by the naivety of a misguided act of kindness. The drama doesn't end with a cliffhanger or a shouting match. It ends with the quiet, terrifyingly mature realization that love is not just a feeling, it is an active state of defense. It is the ability to look at a stranger and say no, to look at a partner and demand loyalty, and to look at yourself and accept the responsibility of the life you have chosen. As the sun sets, casting long orange shadows across the kitchen floor, they stand at the sink, washing the dishes together. The water runs, clear and hot. The steam rises, blurring the lines of the room. They are together, just the two of them, And for now, the world is outside. But they know, as every couple who has truly built something knows, that the world is always waiting for the slightest opening, and they are ready. They are ready because they have each other. They are ready because they have drawn their line. And they are ready because, in the silence of the kitchen, they have forged a bond that is stronger than any whisper. The Tu Tien story world is one of constant, grinding effort, but it is also one of profound, quiet victory. They have survived the temptation of the outsider, and in doing so, they have secured the heart of their home. The audience leaves this scene not with a sense of relief, but with a sense of anticipation. They have seen the mask slip. They have seen the threat materialize and be dismantled. And they have seen the couple emerge not weaker, but sharper. They know that this will happen again, in different forms, with different faces, and different stakes. But they also know that Jack and Tu Tien are no longer the same people who started that morning. They have evolved. The ending of this sequence isn't the finish line, it's the checkpoint. It's the moment where the viewer realizes that the drama isn't just about what happens to the characters, but about what they become through it. They have become the architects of their own moral space. As the final shot captures the two of them, silhouetted against the fading light of the kitchen window, the message is clear. They are building something that is meant to last, something that is meant to endure, and something that is worth fighting for, down to the last, quiet second of the day. And as the screen fades to black, the sound of the evening crickets begins to rise, replacing the clatter of the kitchen, a reminder that the world outside is vast and that their little kitchen is the only place in that world that truly matters. The story of their home is a story of a fortress, and today, they held the walls. This is the kind of narrative that keeps the audience hooked, the slow, agonizing reveal of a vulnerability, followed by the swift, decisive action that restores the status quo, and the final, lingering look at the cost of that restoration. It's a loop of tension and release that drives the viewership, one heartbeat at a time. The viewers are not just watching a drama, they are participating in a study of human endurance, love, and the absolute necessity of boundaries. They are watching a couple grow up, right before their eyes, and it is the most compelling thing they will see all day. Jack and Tu Tien are not just characters, they are icons of a reality that is both aspirational and deeply grounded. They are the couple that every viewer wants to be, and the couple that every viewer fears they might become if they aren't careful. And that, more than anything else, is why they will come back, episode after episode, to see how the walls hold, how the love lasts, and how the light, once lit, is kept from going out. The legacy of this moment will be the standard by which all future tensions in their life are measured. Whenever a challenge arises, whenever a stranger enters, whenever a doubt creeps into their minds, they will return to this kitchen. They will return to the memory of that moment, when the knife froze, when the air turned cold, and when the choice was made. And they will know, with absolute certainty, that they can face anything, as long as they face it together, as long as they keep the kitchen theirs, as long as they remain the architects. The story continues, the work continues, and the love remains the only thing that is truly solid in a world of shifting sand. As the credits would roll, the feeling of resolution is replaced by the quiet hum of a life that is still being built, still being guarded, and still being nurtured. It is the beginning of a longer, more complex, and more rewarding chapter. It is the beginning of the truth, and it is the most beautiful thing they could ever have built. They are the creators of their own fate, and they are the keepers of their own fire. And as the night takes hold, that fire is burning brighter than it ever has before. This is not the end. It is simply the moment the foundation was tested and found to be made of iron. And iron doesn't break. The journey of Jack and Tu Tien is just beginning to unfold in the hearts of those who watch them. They have become a testament to the fact that when you build with intention, when you fight with purpose, and when you love with absolute resolve, you don't just create a home, you create a legacy. And that is a story worth telling. That is the story they are living. That is the story they will tell over and over again, in every meal they cook, in every challenge they face, and in every quiet moment they share for the rest of their lives. The kitchen is theirs, the life is theirs, and the love is the foundation upon which everything else stands. It is the only thing that matters, it is the only thing that lasts, and it is the only thing that will ever truly, finally, belong to them. The kitchen fades from view, leaving only the warmth of the memory in the mind of the viewer, a memory of two people who chose each other against all odds, and in the process, created a sanctuary that is as impregnable as it is intimate. The story of Jack and Tu Tien, the story of the kitchen, the story of the boundary, and the story of the love that dared to draw the line. It is a story of a life lived well and protected fiercely, and it is a story that will live on. It will live on in the hearts of the viewers. It will live on in the choices that the viewers themselves make, in their own lives, in their own homes, and in their own kitchens. The legacy is set, the lesson is learned, the work remains, and the couple, they are just getting started. They are the keepers of the light. They are the builders of the future. They are Jack and Tu Tien, and they are finally, completely, home. The silence that follows is not an absence, but a presence, a space for the viewer to reflect, to learn, and to grow along with them. It is the ultimate goal of the Jack Tu Tien story world, to inspire, to challenge, to change, and to leave the viewer with a profound, lasting sense of what is possible when love is the architect. The story is a mirror, and in that mirror, we see not just them, but the best version of ourselves. We see the strength we have, the boundaries we need, and the love we are capable of building, if we only have the courage to try. This is the power of the story. This is the power of the love. This is the power of the Jack Tu Tien story world. The journey continues, the light is still on, and the story is only just beginning. There are more meals to cook, there are more threats to face, there are more moments of intimacy to share, and there is an entire lifetime of building left to do, together, with intention, with resolve, and with the absolute, unshakable knowledge that no matter what happens, no matter who comes, and no matter what challenges the world may bring, they are home, they are safe, and they are, above all else, together. This is the promise of their story, and it is a promise they intend to keep. The story of Jack and Tu Tien is a story of a life lived with purpose, and it is a story that will never, ever be finished. It is a story that is being written day by day in the kitchen, in the field, and in the heart of the home they have built. It is their story, and it is our story too. The story of love, of building, and of the courage to protect the things that matter most. It is the story of us all, and it is a story that deserves to be told. It is the story of Jack and Tu Tien, the builders, the protectors, the lovers, the home, the kitchen, the life, the legacy, the end, for now, of the chapter, but the beginning of the journey. The light is still burning, the door is still open, and the story remains. It remains in our hearts, it remains in our memories, and it remains in the promise of tomorrow. And that is enough. It is more than enough. It is everything. It is the beginning of the next chapter. It is the beginning of the future. It is the beginning of the rest of their lives. And we are here to witness it all. Episode by episode, moment by moment, breath by breath, the journey continues. The work continues. The love never ends. It just keeps growing. It just keeps building. It just keeps becoming more and more every single day. And that is the beauty of it all. That is the magic of the Tu Tien story world. That is the reason we watch. That is the reason we care. And that is the reason we will come back again and again for the rest of our lives. Because we are part of it now. We are witnesses. We are observers. We are partners in the journey. And that is the greatest, most beautiful reward of all. The story is ours now. And we will hold it, cherish it, and protect it just as they have. The story of Jack and Tu Tien. The story that never ends. The story that, in the end, belongs to all of us. And so, we leave them in the warm glow of the kitchen, surrounded by the scent of the stew, the comfort of their home, and the strength of their love, prepared for tomorrow, ready for the next challenge, and standing tall, together, as the architects of their own beautiful, enduring fate. The journey continues, the light remains, the story goes on. And we are ready for the next chapter. Are you? Because the next chapter is going to be even better. It is going to be even deeper. It is going to be even more powerful, and it is going to be, in every single way, a reflection of the love that has defined them from the very beginning. A love that is not just a feeling, but a foundation. A love that is not just a choice, but a commitment. A love that is, and will always be, the most important thing in the world. The story of Jack and Tu Tien, the legacy of the kitchen, the legacy of the home, and the legacy of a love that will never, ever die. It is the story of the future. And it is, in every single way, the story of us all. The chapter ends here. But the book? The book is still wide open. And the next page? The next page is already being written. It is being written in the kitchen, right now, as we speak. It is being written by the choices they make. And it is being written by the life they are living. The story continues. Are you watching? Because you won't want to miss a single, beautiful second of what comes next. The journey of Jack and Tu Tien, the journey of a lifetime, the journey that, in the end, is the only journey that really matters. The journey of love, the journey of home, the journey of the heart, the journey that is just beginning. And we are here for every single step of the way. The journey continues. The story remains. The love lives on. And we are ready. Are you? Because the story is about to take another turn. And it is going to be, in every single way, even more extraordinary than the last. The journey of Jack and Tu Tien, the journey that is and will always be the greatest story ever told. The story of our lives, the story of our hearts, the story of the future, the story of the Tu Tien story world, the story that, in the end, is all we have, and it is enough. It is everything. It is the beginning. The story continues. Stay tuned, because the best is yet to come. The story is just beginning, and we are ready for it. Are you? Because it's time to find out. It's time to build. It's time to protect. It's time to love. It's time to begin. The journey of Jack and Tu Tien, the journey that is life itself. The story continues. See you there, because the story is not over. It is only just beginning. And that is the most beautiful, exciting, and inspiring part of all. The story of Jack and Tu Tien, the story that lives on. The story that, forever and always, is the story of us all. The journey continues. Stay with us, because the best is yet to come. And the story will never end. The story of the Tu Tien story world. The story of love. The story of home. The story of the future. The story of our lives. The story that, in the end, is all that truly matters. the story of Jack and Tu Tien. And that is the beginning of the next great chapter. Are you ready? Because it starts now.